And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. We have Chris, the old guy, once again. Guys, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. If you are going to the last game this season on Saturday to see Connor Hellebuck or Eric Comrie, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up on the pucks and play. No up and down, folks. Just wait until a stoppage of play, please.
No up and down, at least at the hockey game.
And if you are going to the final game, or if you're going to the one next season, highly recommend Su Taqueria El Rey del Taco over on Ogden. The food is great. The people are great. And it's so much better than the food inside the United Center. And cheaper.
True story. I love it.
All right. Let's get into the NHL world, guys. Alexander Ovechkin finally did it. He tied against us, but he did not break the record against us. Thank you so much, Spencer Knight, for playing like a god in the final minutes of the Chicago-Washington matchup. And thank you for Ilya Sorokin for letting Ovi score one on you. Guys, Alexander Ovechkin has broken Wayne Gretzky's record. It's amazing. And what's even better than that is on the same day that happened, the Chicago Blackhawks knocked out the Pittsburgh Penguins out of playoff contention. On Ovi's day, it was only destined for Sid the Kid to lose.
Yeah, but Sid the Kid scored tonight. So
that's okay. Tonight's different. I'm talking about Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, it was a huge production. I did not watch I have not watched the thing. So, I heard it was done really nicely and everything. I did see Ovi's dive and the whole team. For me, one of the best parts is, on that score sheet will be Ovechkin's 895th goal, assisted by Tom Wilson, and a person that you didn't even want on this hockey team, Dylan Strome.
That is true. That is true.
Boy, he'd look awfully good on this team, huh?
Yeah.
A phenomenal job. How somebody can still get that open on power plays when you know exactly where it's going. But it was 2 years ago. He had like 8 at the All-Star break or past the All-Star break. And everybody kind of thought, this might not happen. And then him and the Caps went on fire. They got in the playoffs. Granted, they got knocked out in the first round, but it was still unbelievable they made the playoffs. And he's been a scoring machine since then at the ripe age of 39, is he not? So there's not much you can say about it. Definitely, arguably the best shooter ever. There'll be people who will tell you differently.
But they're wrong.
I don't know if they're wrong. Mike Bossy was a phenomenal goal scorer and averaged more per game than Ovi did, just cut short with injury. So I watched Bossy a little bit, but I was a baby. So I'll leave that for other people. Definitely in my lifetime, I've never seen anybody like him. The only thing close was Stamkos. I mean, Stamkos in that office also was just unbelievable. But, the other big thing you need to understand it, Ovi's like number 3 or 2 in hits. So that's putting your body through an awful lot every season, and to still be playing this well is phenomenal.
Well, we learned the secret to that is, I think, Subway sandwiches, Cheetos, and Diet Pepsi or something weird.
I'm sure there's some working out going on there. Maybe not a lot, but I would assume a good amount. And that game is so difficult on your hips, so difficult on your knees. The fact that you're able to do it with the granted, he's not going balls out all the time. Ovi plays a little bit of a different game. He knows when he can coast a little bit, as any really good player does, though, to begin with. So, I don't know what else to say about it. It's a record that probably will not be broken in my lifetime. Again, to put it in perspective, that's somebody averaging 45 goals a season for 20 seasons.
Insane.
Yes. So hats off to him. It was a fantastic celebration. And as I said, I heard the whole pomp and circumstance was all done real well. I like the fact that he didn't do it on an empty netter. He said he wouldn't and stayed true to his word, even though there was a packed house that spent a lot of money that were probably really itching for it. But, you know, at the end of the day, you were in the house for when he tied it. So take solace in that. What else we got?
Next thing on the radar is we have a new tiny tot in the NHL world. You've got Carter Michael Goudreau, was born on April 1st, the latest son of Johnny Hockey and his wife. So a new Goudreau tiny tot in the NHL world.
Yes, and you know, that was still tweeted out and everything. My woman actually sent me a wow moment that basically the son was the same length and same weight as Johnny was when he was born. So to add tearjerker on the tearjerker, it's just constant. You know, I texted you before we started this. I definitely wanted to talk about it for a second because I'd like to keep him in our minds always.
Yeah.
Because you know, time just passes on. But you know, for everything they've gone through, you know, we've talked on this show, and I've told you before, you know, sports heroes are one thing. Don't put your ethic, you know, stock into a sports figure that we don't know. You see in glimpses that they want you to see. Johnny's another one that just came across as, for everything that I could tell, just one of a good human. And along with all of that family, they just seem like good, nice humans, and that needs to be celebrated. So congratulations. So, you know, we'll be talking about him in the World Juniors in 16, 17 years.
Yeah, definitely.
No pressure on you there, Carter. No pressure at all.
Last bit in the NHL world, kind of just an update with who's locked in for the postseason, because there's still some things that are up in the air, some that we thought would be locked in by now, but are not. Thanks, Stan. So for locked in for the West, you've got Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado, Vegas, and the Los Angeles Kings. For the East, you have Toronto, Tampa, Florida, Washington, and the Carolina Hurricanes. Everybody else, it's still fair game.
Yeah, I would assume it'll be St. Louis and Minnesota in the West. Calgary needs to win out to make a run at it. They have games in hand, and maybe they could. That would be great. Again, I'd be all good with St. Louis getting this close and then being knocked out by Calgary. That would be great. It was nice to see them lose against Hollybuck last night. And it looks, as of now, that the two Canadian teams might make it in.
Which
So
brings
we have
us
something else to talk about.
Yeah. And Krusty, I know I texted this to you earlier, but I really am leaning more and more into this impulsive purchase that I may need before our trip. Because, guys, Ivan Demidov is headed to the Montreal Canadiens. Apparently, he's heard my shit talking of him the past couple of weeks with Arty's success, asking where the hell is Ivan. So Ivan's showing up for the final weeks. He'll be signing his entry level, which means he will be in Montreal for the rest of the season and for the postseason. Guys, we're going to be out there on Monday. I'm so excited. I want to see an Arty Ivan showdown. I think I may need to purchase an Arty jersey so everyone knows that Arty is the supreme.
Wow.
Arty, Arty, Arty.
Well, that would stop me from getting an Arty jersey then, because I don't get the same jerseys as the Hockey Princess gets. And Arty was actually going to be in consideration.
I mean, you can get an Arty. I'll happily get a Sam.
Well, I'm not getting the Arty yet. I've purchased one major league jersey that I considered my own, and that's 4 different kinds of Duncan Keith. So this next name will be thought good and hard beforehand.
See, that's what I thought mine was going to be, but Kyle's really just taking too long calling up Savvy, and I'm getting impatient.
So it is now 5-0.
Ooh, I thought he was supposed to be the savior of goaltending.
Well, it's
This is what happens when you consistently put Spencer Knight in the net. Not anything against Spencer Knight, but you may need to put Bloom in for a game to let this poor kid rest being behind this very, very non-structured team.
Well, we can talk about that in a little bit, but I think there was a lot of that. I've witnessed in between periods a lot of pumping the young kids and how great everything is going to be. They are on Channel 26 in Chicago, so it's easy accessible to everybody. So I believe they thought this would be a little bit of a coming out, look at what we have for you game. And Sidney Crosby and the gang showed them that you have to play tight defense, and they did not. So,
but let's get back to Ivan.
Yes, I don't know how I got sidetracked. Oh, I gave you a score update. Go on.
No, what are your thoughts on Ivan coming to the NHL?
I think it's fantastic. He basically said he would be here right away. I think he comes right in and grabs the spot. It's already been stated. I don't completely agree with it. He's probably their best offensive player, maybe. Nick Suzuki has had one hell of a year, so I will disagree with that. But
he's up there.
He comes in as a danger. He's already playing. He'll be able to get 3 games underneath his belt and will be ready for the playoffs if the Habs can make it. Again, Hab Nation will be going nuts. I would assume he gets in before our game, but maybe not. That would be one hell of a ticket for everyone if his first game is when we're there in Montreal.
Guys, I'd be so excited. I mean, I'm already so excited to go back to Canada, get my poutine, my second cup of coffee. I'm a big fan of the Canadian ways. But to see Arty versus Ivan in Ivan's first game, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I am looking forward to seeing him. It's a gift to see him live. I've seen clips, and I can basically go through 100 players a year that I could give you clips of where they look like they're unstoppable. Whole different thing when I see them for a game, but I would assume Ivan does not disappoint. So that great for the Habs, great for the league. We'll see where it goes.
Should be entertaining. Got anything else in the NHL world, Krusty?
What else did we have? Columbus still in it. Denton Matachuk with another assist tonight. Just letting everybody know who's keeping score besides me, who I believe that's nobody, because I'm probably the only one keeping score of what Ivan Demidov is doing, and another rough outing for Core tonight. So, anything else in the league? No. There's conspiracy rumors that the Florida Panthers are tanking on purpose to get a wild card spot so they can play Toronto in the first round. I guess that's been going all over the place.
I don't think they're genuinely tanking.
No, they're not.
Speaking of tanking, though, one of our listeners told me that there's an article out there, not even a Chicago news reporter, but a different city, a different market, referred to Kyle Davidson as addicted to tanking. And I thought that was a delight.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody, go off the Addicted to Love song and make a new video of Addicted to Tanking. Gonna have to face it, we're addicted to tanking. Tank a lot, early and often. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm sure there are. I know also there was a report from something on social media on X that Connor Bedard will be looking to leave. That was from a fake Eric Friedman account, not Eric Friedman account. He addressed it on his show this week. He said, I wasn't even going to address it, but then he goes, it just snowballed and players started asking Bedard about it on the ice. And so he figured he better address it. For all of you Connor Bedard ain't going anywhere for another 6 years. Okay? And it's pretty simple. If they're this bad in 6 years, yes, he will be leaving. And if they're still this bad in 6 years, what does it matter? And on that show, I did hear a nice little Ovi story if you wanted it.
Go for it.
So, Alan Venchko, the grade 8 is known. He's a great teammate from everything that I've heard. Likes to do everything with the team. And they told the story of when the first year he got 50 goals. So he was he was on a heater. And he was talking to the guys, listen, if I score my 50 soon, he goes, I'm going to drop the stick and act like it's too hot to pick up. And then I want you guys all to come in and do the same thing. And they all said, yeah. So after Ovi scores his 50, he drops the stick, goes to touch it, and acts like it's too hot. And then starts waving to teammates. None of the teammates wanted to get in the picture. They wanted him to enjoy it all by himself. That's how much they liked him. So Ovi was stuck there doing the thing just by himself. A very funny story, I thought. So I wanted to share that. It explains to you part of the aura of the grade 8. I've heard nothing but a great teammate, and everybody knows he's got that exuberance that you also see in Arty, that love of the game, the love to celebrate too. And the game should be celebrated. So yeah, that's my other grade 8 story.
Love it. All right, let's get to our prospect report. We still have a couple of guys playing college hockey right now. For the Frozen Four on the 30th, it'll be University of Denver with Aiden Thompson and the anticipated David Carl, future Chicago Blackhawks coach, if Meathead Nation gets what they want, versus Western Michigan University. And then as well as you have Boston University with Ryan Green against Penn State. And then the winner of those two matchups will play each other on April 12th at 5:30 p.m. So we still have two guys playing college hockey with Denver and Boston. In the CHL right now, you've got one assist with Alex Ferrand, which nobody has answered my question on Ferrand. Sudbury's out of the playoffs. He has to be signed by June 1st. Does that mean he can technically hit free agency June 2nd, or does he have to wait till July 1st? No one knows.
Crickets from everyone? Did you try Friedman?
No.
Try Friedman.
Okay. Well, because you have a couple of his other line mates that are starting to get signed. One of them got signed for Winnipeg, and then I believe Seattle was the other one, and still crickets about Ferrand. Then you have 1 goal with Jack Pridham from the Kitchener Rangers. For Erie, you have 1 assist out of Ty Henry. Misiak, you have 3 goals and 2 assists. For Brantford, you've got 1 assist out of Marek Vanacker, and then 4 goals for the Lardass. For this, like I said, Alex Ferrand is out for postseason, but the second round for the OHL playoffs, you have Brantford, which is Lardass and Vanacker against the Oshawa Generals. You have the Erie Otters versus the London Knights. Erie is Misiak and Ty Henry, as well as we've talked about, Malcolm Spence and Matthew Shaver are both draft picks for this upcoming year and are potentially around when the Hawks could pick, depending on how the lottery goes. But also, the London Knights have just been an incredibly competitive team this year, so it should be a good matchup. And then you have the Kitchener Rangers versus the Windsor Spitfires, which is Jack Pridham versus AJ Spellacy.
Okay.
And finally, last but not least, because Krusty really doesn't like me to talk about him a ton,
Hey!
You have Roman Kantsarov wrapping up his year at the KHL. Metallurg, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the team that he plays for, with 38 points in 47 games. As we've talked about, he does have 1 more year in his contract before he's able to kind of come over. And another thing to clarify, and this kind of also ties into the Ivan Demidov, with Demidov breaking out of his KHL contract early, the NHL team cannot have anything to do with a KHL player breaking out of their contract. That solely is on the players, like team and agents. It is not the NHL's team. Montreal cannot go to the KHL to try to get Demidov to come out early. The player and his group has to be the one to do it. Chicago cannot try to pull Kantsarov out early. That has to be a discussion between Roman Kantsarov, his people, and the KHL. And then same for Ilya Safonov as well.
I believe Samsonov is up this year, though, correct? His contract.
Possibly.
That's what I'm hearing. So there's the possibility. Yes. That's all done by the agent. The agent is automatically thinking of getting him to the NHL. There's more money. So that's usually the goal of anybody who is slightly a North American agent. That's just their goal. But right, the Blackhawks can't go over there and go, well, that's taboo. So there'll be none of that. Kantsarov, he's not coming for at least another year. But then there'll be discussions after that. He doesn't have a contract, so he can sign with whomever he likes. It's a touchy subject, depending on where things are with Mother Russia and everything else. So Demidov, as we had mentioned during the draft and everything, his agent was known for getting people here. And the other reason why he still went he didn't slide like Michnikov, is because Michnikov they were unsure on. Demidov, everybody was pretty sure when his contract was up, he was coming. Now, if you're Columbus, I don't know exactly how you feel about that now. You went with somebody with a bad back.
And going to college for a year.
Well, as we can discuss more, that is just going to start happening more. Anybody who's a top 10 pick, I believe, will be going the college route from now on. They get paid. They have better facilities for the most part, as long as you go to a top program. Everything is pointing in that direction for all of that kind of stuff. And again, if the kid's back holds up and is fine, he's going to be a big stud center, which, as we know, hard to find. So that's it. You got anything else on prospects, or do I got to do all the talking about them?
No, that's That's all I have on prospects. I can jump to Rockford, even though there's not much to speak about because it was a shit week for Rockford. I don't know what's going on with Kamessa, but Kamessa was, and you were correct when we spoke earlier, Kamessa was a net for one of the losses, but wasn't a net for both of them.
Right.
But Chicago's got to start sending these kids back to Rockford because Rockford's in a bit of a dumpster fire right now. And if you're not going to play them, you're going to keep scratching my boy EDM and my boy Louis Crevier and some of these other guys, then get them back to Rockford because it's not if they're going to play in Rockford, they will, and they will have substantial minutes down in Rockford. So if you're just going to play let's put a spotlight on Wyatt Kaiser so he's trade potential in the offseason and, meet these new young kids and fluff up Kevin Korchinski, then give EDM an opportunity to play some gosh darn minutes. Okay? You danced around Nolan Allen for the better part of the year. You're doing it with EDM now. Let him go down to Rockford so we can actually play some hockey because Rockford's in trouble right now. Half of your roster is indie guys, and that's a partially because you've got guys like NASCAR and like Core, the younger kids that kind of were brought up and we're never going to come back down. Yes, I know there's some injuries like on Colton's end and some of the younger kids, but the guys who are healthy and have no reason to not be playing at all, put them back down in Rockford. This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah. As we have always talked about on this show, there's two sides to that.
No.
Well, there is
You're benching EDM for no reason.
Right, but EDM is making 10 times as much a day being where he's at. That does matter. And again, for a younger kid, maybe that does matter. They're all going to be down in Rockford in a week.
Right, so, but what if they don't? What if they're out of postseason in a week because you've dicked them around at the NHL level for this long? What if it's too little, too late? Now then you're wishing.
I don't think they're going to get more than 3 games anyways. So I hear what you're saying. Yes, I would like it, but I'm not completely entwined in how the kids would actually feel about that, how much they feel about the money that they're getting. It is a tough one. I mean, the Nolan Allen one was different because that was a whole month and you never had any intention of playing. EDM isn't playing. Kaiser has looked good with Arty. That might be a Kaiser role for what I'm concerned. It's going to be very difficult for another year to play with that guy. And that guy has no structure. he was up leading rushes again today.
Hey, if nobody else is going to do it, why not Arty?
Well, some will, but he's raw. I don't have a problem with just letting him go now. Who cares? But Kaiser seems to do real well understanding that and being ready to cover for him. So it's just, we'll deal with that when we get to the Hawks. But, I mean, Rockford still should make the playoffs unless they lose out, correct?
Right. No? There's not that many games left.
All right, so I got to go to AHL standings.
It's bad. It's very bad. And I'm also just always going to be in the doghouse of let EDM play wherever he can actually play hockey. Gosh darn it.
No, I get that part. They're 6 points ahead of Iowa. Iowa's not catching them. And how many games do they play? 72? That I am unsure of. So I think they'll be okay. They're definitely going to lose home ice for that series.
They have 6 games left.
So they play 72. So they're in. They're going to be in. But right now, Grand Rapids is behind Chicago, so that means they would play the first round against Grand Rapids in that silly 3-game thing, which I believe is every game's at Grand Rapids. I think that's the way that works, but don't quote me on that. So, yeah.
I thought it was game 1 and game 2 are in Grand Rapids.
And the last one's in Rockford? We'll have to get back to our listeners on that. Sorry.
I don't know. It's been a while.
It's one of those things you're not supposed to do on radio. I'm not supposed to do it when I teach. You don't start asking questions that you don't know the answer to. So Krusty says, sorry. Bad mistake by Krusty. Oh, and I also forgot that I was supposed to do this at the beginning of our show. But we're what, halfway in?
Yeah.
I did want to say hello to GT if he still listens or watches this. I'm thinking of you, buddy. I know you're taking a sabbatical. We'll just leave it at that. Don't need to discuss anymore. I just wanted to do a shout out. I will have by next week the answer for the playoffs because I'll have Hockey Princess email Rockford and ask how that first round goes.
Yeah, but that's how Rockford's going, guys. It's not good. I want the kids to come back.
Yeah, because that would help. You've got 2 more defensemen, probably top defensemen, and your best player will come back. So NASCAR will come back and play. I believe he is on the roster.
Hold on.
Oh, is that another thing that I brought up that I don't know? I guarantee he's on the roster.
Keep talking.
All right, I'm going to keep talking because, hey, you all might want to stay tuned because this could be a hardly ever happens moment.
No, NASCAR is not eligible.
Are you kidding me?
NASCAR is not eligible, and Slaggert's not eligible.
Are you sure?
Yes, because when I asked Mario, why are these 2 ineligible, somebody told me that they would have had to be set down as a paper transaction on the deadline day.
And they weren't?
It's Core, it's Arty, it's EDM, and it's Doc. You didn't send down any of your friggin' forwards. That's pathetic, Kyle.
I've got to agree. That's a swing and a miss. Phil, number one, Phil, I'm hoping to see you on the flight to Montreal. I'm hoping you're taking the 7 a.m.er out to Montreal. But I'd like that question asked as to what was the thought process behind not having either of them eligible. That seems a little weird. And I was wrong, so I was wrong. I don't like to be hockey wrong.
Gosh, this feels
I'm
great.
wrong at most things in life. But hockey's about the only thing I know like 10% of.
I was right.
Son of a beach. Okay, well, then they're out in the first round anyways, and all this talk of how great a year it was going to be in Rockford will have to wait till next year.
Yeah. Finally, moving to the big club.
Woohoo!
What are your thoughts and feelings?
My thoughts, my feelings. I think number one, I mentioned this last week. There's like a group of people who like to bait people on these social things like, oh my God, our future is just incredible. I'm coming to the realization maybe they're not that stupid and they're just doing it to bait it, or maybe they just are that stupid. But the lack of respect you give all the other prospects in this league is then pretty pathetic. As I've said before. Our big club, hey, we had a win. Everybody talked about the halfway decent game against Colorado team that Colorado was not interested until the last 10 minutes. The Washington game that...
Screw you, Cale McCarr, for making me go to bed past my bedtime.
And the Washington game wasn't bad, and that was a team...
Wait.
Yes?
Wait, with the Colorado game, can we talk about what Sorensen did? Can we talk about the putting Bedard out on the dot in your own defensive end against like Colorado's top line? What the hell was that?
Okay. We'll go two routes with this. I'll give you the Sorensen. I'll give a pass to route.
No.
Well, that part of it is, it's been basically stated that they want the beacon of hope to understand everything that this league has to offer. That's what I'm being told is the reason why he is going up against other teams' top lines a lot while they're at home. Okay?
You had the opportunity to win, you dumbass.
Yes, when you've got a team like this and you're playing at home, you take the opportunity to win. We've been over this a couple times where some people have really started to talk about Connor Bedard's improved face-off dot, and I've explained to them that most of his draws now, he's only taking on the strong side. He doesn't take any weak side draws. Okay? There was no reason to put him out there. He is not one of your top 3 defensive forwards. So with a 2-1 lead, he's not supposed to be out there. Again, why should he be out here? If he earns the right to be that good defensively. Okay? Patrick Kane wouldn't have been out there, I can tell you that. I mean, Jonathan Taves would have been, but they're different players. But I thought that was a slap in the face to the team, who has struggled to celebrate anything, to why you had him out there for that draw.
You know who should have been out there, who this game was ruined for? It's your Ryan Donato, your true captain.
Yes, who Ryan has been taking half the draws anyways. Yeah, just a terrible maneuver. And unfortunately, I had just given Sorensen some kudos. They had a power play with like 3 minutes to go, and he was at least smart enough to have 2 defensemen out on the power play and not risk a shorthanded goal. So I thought he was evolving, and then he just went right back to not evolving. Again, he'll be gone in a week. I've stated my case that I want everyone gone. I want the whole stench removed and both facilities hosed down. The coaching on both of these teams has been pathetic. That has to be removed. I'll give KD his props for some of these draft picks. Hell yes. But his management of his coaches and his inside NHL trades, lacking. I don't think that'll happen. I think we're too touchy-feely. They're not going to just send Sorensen away because you stepped up for us, blah, blah. This is the frigging NHL. We're not playing some junior college game.
This ain't pond hockey.
Well, we played pond hockey all year, but I don't care about his feelings. I don't care if he feels like we've been wrong. Get another job. Okay, but everything needs to be removed. The only thing I'm okay with is Eaton coming back. And if you want to put him back in development with you,
that's fine.
That's fine. But as far as all coaches, all need to be removed. Yes?
No, I'm waving. Bye-bye.
I know one probably will stay.
Bring me Todd Nelson and Tomo Rucci.
I would assume the goaltender coach will stay.
Yeah, but hasn't he been here since like forever?
He's been here forever and he's always done a good job.
Well, and I feel like not that not that the goaltending doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. And I think his name's Jimmy Waite, right?
Yes.
And I think Jimmy Waite's done a phenomenal job, but I feel like they're kind of in their own world and they're not
Correct.
necessarily like
That's
as
decompartmentalized.
integral. Yeah.
That definitely is in the hockey world. The goaltender little community stays as a goaltender little community, and nobody really comes into that community except the head coach to talk to Jimmy Waite about, hey, how's this guy? Should I start him? That's it. They don't bring anything else to the table. Jimmy Waite has complete control of what he's going to do. And yes, I mean, goaltending hasn't been an issue with this team for a while. Pathetic play
No.
by the 5 people in front of them has been.
Yeah, I don't think goaltending's been an issue, so I'll definitely agree with you that I think he probably will stay. And now that we said that, he's probably going to be the first one fired. But I believe he should probably stay, and because, like you said, goaltending really hasn't been an issue, and even with like our prospects, because I don't think Jimmy Waite's like working with Comesso directly, but there's had to have been conversations at some point throughout like the calendar year between like the goaltending coaches and like
Yes.
prospects and kids down in Rockford. And I think I would at least assume that, Comesso's gotten things from Waite or somebody underweight of this is what we need to see you do next.
I would assume so. I hope so. But I think, yeah, that little group, they're all in charge of how they develop a goaltender. Yeah, it is. It's like a whole different department. So, maybe Jimmy stays. I don't think I'll get my wish. I know there's going to be stragglers left and right left here. And I just think it's a disservice.
I need Derek King gone.
It's been a terrible showing. And I will continue to state, out of the 32 teams, the Chicago Blackhawks are the easiest to play against. There might have been 5 games out of 82 where a team played the Hawks and went to their locker room after the game and said, holy shit, that was one rough game.
Yeah.
I bet that hadn't happened more than 5 times. Teams might have lost to the Hawks, but they still didn't come in the locker room going, oh my God,
Right.
that was a rough one. So the culture has to change. We talked to somebody that we've been dining with a little bit for the Hawks team. I didn't want to give him too much credit for the culture has to change, but he is completely right on. We need a complete culture change, and the team needs an identity. And it needs one fast. People have talked about that a little bit, and I've heard rumblings about who this team should identify with, and I'm not going to completely disagree with them. See how I give you the cigar pause, drawing people in? That would be NASCAR. That's what you want your team to look like. Aggressive, all over the place, throwing his body all over, and coming with speed, but using that speed at all times. Not just offensively, but defensively. So that is what you want your identity to be. But it has to be at that level of defense that NASCAR provides. NASCAR's limited defensively just because of his size. I understand that he's like a fire plug, but still, he's still
At the end of the day, you play Vegas at some point.
Right. And we'll worry about that when we get to that point. But right now, that's the identity probably that they're looking for. So that means a coach that you want to think that way. But obviously, this team is going to be aggressive. If I've noticed anything in the since Arty's come up, and now with Riz also playing is these defensemen are going to be aggressive. They are going to challenge the blue line. They're going to go up in the play. That means your forwards have to play good D. They have to be defensively sound and responsible. That's your identity. But they're going to attack. So that's what we're all hoping on. Kudos to you. Kudos to other people that have told me. Riz,
Me?
listen, first off, these last games are meaningless. From a complete analyzing standpoint, they're worthless. That being said, I am going to throw out a Kyle quote. But with that being said, Sam Runzel has looked really good.
Yes.
Okay. He has looked really good. He looks the part. That part looks like him and the Pickle could stay together for 5-6 years. The Pickle understands that Sam's going to be a little bit more aggressive. The Pickle will stay at home more. And I think the Pickle has played better playing with Sam. So, again, I need an Arty babysitter also. I don't know who that is. Kaiser might be the guy for a little while just because of Kaiser's speed. But that's the one thing that I'm noticing in these last couple games is their defensemen are going to challenge the blue line. And what that means, if they challenge the blue line and miss, God, those forwards have to come back hard. And if we have the fast team that we're saying we have, they better be able to skate fast coming back.
We're looking at you, Oliver Moore.
Well, yeah, I encourage the old guys. Yeah, I'm looking at Oliver Moore. That's the one thing I want him to understand if he's up with the big club. But that's got to be embedded to these veterans that listen, our defensemen are going to be aggressive. They're going to challenge the blue line at all times. They need backup for when they make a decide to challenge and get beat. Because there's ways. A nice little just dump right before they get there and some other forwards coming up. You have to have that other forward coming in with speed then. So that'll be the thing. Again, where this team can go, I don't know. The whole year has been such a structure shit show that I don't know what anybody is. Because I don't think anybody's got a defined role. It's get the puck, go fast, and hey, try to entertain the fans. Hopefully next year with whoever comes in, it's got to be coached. It's got to be coached defensively. Because if the forwards don't all buy into it, you're going to see what you saw tonight. You're going to be a lot of 5-0 losses. Teams are going to be able to get their matchups at home and just bury you. And I think we're all a little sick and tired of that. But, yeah, I always say that to Oliver Moore because I saw Oliver fly the zone a couple times against Washington. And, again, I don't knock Oliver Moore for that. I knock the coaching.
Yeah.
But you'll have a full season. You'll have a full summer with a coach who will explain to them what they want and what they need to do defensively. And I'll tell you, one of the big things is those forwards got to get back. I understand maybe the beacon of hope flying the zone once in a while, except beacon, you've got to bury your chances a little better. NASCAR is now burying his chances a little bit.
If you have puck, shoot puck.
All I had to do was call him Victor once, and he seemed to have shut me up really nicely. But that's going to, because let's face it, we're talking about next year now, and that's what's going to need to start to happen. We have a fast forward group. How do we plan to use that? I don't know out of that fast forward group that I have incredible Ivan Demidov skill. But I know they're all fast enough to get back defensively. And I know with our attacking D-men, we can cause teams a lot of trouble. So, hey, again, it's been a little bit better to watch. We got to win. We probably won't get another one. But hey,
if we can just score one goal during the Canada trip, that would be great.
Well, yes, because my woman's got you on notice that, she's witnessed like 6 goals. So she's asking for better game from Hockey Princess.
I'll try. I can try.
Yeah, and I almost hope that Montreal game doesn't mean a shit ton. And it's looking like right now it's not going to. Because I'd really hate for some reason the Hawks to pull one out of their ass and knock Montreal out. I just can't handle that abuse in French. I think it would be overwhelming for me.
I can. That would be funny.
I don't really think that'll happen. That's a team that's playing really well. So, for your listeners, enjoy the rest couple of games. Sorry about this year. Anybody who stuck it out this year, kudos to you. I do realize that for the most part, people haven't stuck it out. They just comment after they see the box scores. But hey, whatever. I don't blame you whatsoever. This has been hard to watch. Not 2 years ago hard, but last year was harder because it was just the worst team I've ever seen in my life. I don't know. What you got? Any thoughts?
Not really. I'm excited for playoff hockey. I wish we were part of playoff hockey. But it's okay, because with playoff hockey it means I get to watch Tomo Rutu on the screen a lot more than I normally do.
That is true, and we'll get into that. I don't know. When are we recording next week?
What do you mean? I don't know. At some point when we're in Canada.
Oh, okay. Well, it's gonna. I don't know. You're the boss.
That is true. I am the boss.
Oh. Well, so that leaves you. Well, you could do it at like midnight after the Ottawa game in Ottawa.
Sure.
And then we fly out the day after. So, I guess we'll get to that. But only 4 left, everybody. Maybe a win against Boston, but I highly doubt it. And that'll do it. Should be an exciting game Saturday. I am looking forward to all the bells and whistles of Fan Appreciation Day at the United Center. All the giveaways, I am sure, going to be unbelievable. Going to hand out a lot of jerseys to loyal season ticket holders.
Oh, that's right. We don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. Maybe they could bring that back and give the, jerseys off their backs to, 20-something lucky fans. Again, hopefully they at least have a good showing with that game and the fans can send them off. I think that's the other thing the organization needs to look at. My God, you guys have done a good job marketing or whatever. People are showing up. And I do know you have a young group chomping at the bits to be fans of a winner, who I am hoping will be the loud, crazy idiots, because the old guy can take a break from being a loud, crazy idiot. And I can pass the torch on to young people to scream and yell and make it an intimidating place. That's all I got. Now I'm just rambling.
You are rambling. All right. Well, on that note, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. We've got, like Krusty said, 4 more games left. But guys, just because Blackhawk hockey stops, we do not. We will still continue during the off season, like we did last year, because we have no lives. If you're going to the last game of this season on Saturday, highly recommend Su Taqueria El Rey del Taco over on Ogden. The food's great. The people are great. No up and down. No up and down. Do not get up while the puck's in play. Don't try to go back to your seat while the puck's in play, especially if you don't know where your seat is. And if you're sitting in section 330 and you hear a girl yelling at you to move, guess what? It's me. That is all, and we will talk at you guys next week.